Hey everybody, it's Dino from the Way Podcast, and in this episode, you're going to meet Tano Kapedani from Easy Fundings. The dude is an absolute beast. I mean, he closes well over 200 units a year in a bad market, as they say, right? And he's going to give you actionable steps as to how he grew his production business as big as it is. He's going to tell you from day one what he did and how he did it, how he actually generated tons of new business by going to banks and asking for turndowns. It's a great way to go. Personally, I did that too a long time ago, and it worked. So I think listening to this episode and knowing that there is more than one way to create and generate business is going to be of sincere value to you. We're also going to find out how and why he got into the business, and hopefully it all resonates with you guys. So I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to The Way with Ethos with Dino Katsiametis, and we are here today to empower, equip, and educate loan officers from the best in the business. And today I have Tano Kapedani. I think I said that right.
Tano Kapedani.
Kapedani, and he's the owner of Easy Funding, and he is a total stud in this business. And I say that because there's not very many broker owners that can own a company with 100 plus loan officers and fund as many personal loans as he does. I mean, we're talking, this is top 2% in the entire industry. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Dino.
You're very welcome. So we're gonna get to how you do all this, because I don't see a big S on your chest, so I'm not sure, but I want to ask you all these questions so I can learn, and I want to start with who are you today, both personally and professionally. And then I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions where we go back to day one and we walk through the journey back to today again. Okay, so who are you today, both personally and professionally?
Well, most importantly, personally, I'm a proud father and husband. I have two beautiful daughters, beautiful wife, and everything that I do day in, day out, it's because of them. So I am very fortunate to have such a great family. It drives me and pushes me every single day. As far as professionally, I mean, I can continue on the personal so much, but I know for the sake of time, we'll skip to the professional part. But I can tell you that I'm a broker owner, as you said. We're a correspondent lender, very similar setup to what you have. We have about 110 loan officers in the company. But as you said, I also originate day in and day out to make sure that no matter what, in our business, we can let go certain things and we can get, In our business, it's very hard to actually have a good control on both, but I've been very lucky and to have a great team behind me that allows me to do originating activities while the business is still maintaining.
And what kind of volume are you doing personally right now?
Personally, I'll do anywhere from 10 to 17 million a month.
Jeez, nicely done. In this market?
Yeah, that is correct, yes.
What about when rates were low?
Oh, boy. Probably anywhere from 20 to 30 million a month.
Yeah, total stud. Okay, so now I want to teach everybody what your secret sauce is. So I'm going to go back to day one. Why, when, where did you even decide to get into the mortgage business?
I started in the mortgage business in 2003, and I remember the date very well because it's a life-changing milestone. I started in January 27, 2003. And the reason I got into it, actually, a client, I used to work in an Italian restaurant, used to come in all the time, and I used to see him dress nice, drive nice cars, and of course, being a 22-year-old kid, you kind of get a little bit of, like a little candy in front of you, you want it, kind of type of thing, So long story short, I did take the leap of faith on myself. I said to myself, you know what, even though I'm going to school, I was studying for international politics and also economics as well. And my plan originally was to become a lawyer, international lawyer for copyrights and all that. I spoke 4 languages since then.
And real quick, with your accent, are you from like Iowa or something?
My accent is Southern European, actually, a country right next to where your country is. It's called Albania.
Yep.
And I came here as an exchange student, by the way, in school. And when I got to the business, I had literally probably $16,000 in American Express debt because I was paying for international tuition. It was like $180 or $200 a unit type of thing. And I had no choice but to pick up the phone and start dialing, basically.
Yeah. Desperation
Absolutely.
it drives a man to do some work.
Absolutely, yes. And nothing was easy, of course. We have a lot of, a lot of people say no, a lot of people say this. And if you remember back then, we didn't have Instagram, we didn't have social media, we didn't have, people didn't even have business cards for that matter. A lot of these guys were advertising in yellow pages, white pages. So a lot of the groundwork used to be a lot of research ahead of time and just start calling and until you click. And, it took me probably 2 or 3 months to close my first deal.
Yeah, which is good back then.
Absolutely.
And then I know we just had lunch, so I know a little bit of the story. So I'm gonna prompt you a little bit.
Sure.
You left that company.
Correct.
After how long? And you went to which company?
I was there for a few months to start as a local mortgage broker out of Rancho Cucamonga, California. Then I went to another company. It was called then Leaders Corp Financial. I was their top guy in basically on second month in. So
tell the quick story. You asked the owner who the top guy was.
Oh, well, some of them are in my social media, so I got to be a little careful. However, though, when I walked into the office, it's all about energy, Dino. When I walked into the office, I did not feel the energy of a top producing environment. It starts from a handshake all the way to the numbers on board. And these guys were being, 4 or 5 deals a month. They were being top for like a year or two and, driving nice car, dressing nice. And I said to myself, what if we double those numbers on board? And what if we triple them? And I got to work.
Yeah. And how long did it take you to become the top LO?
Oh, within third month, I already had 11, 12 loans in. And then from that point, I never looked back. It's always on the teens or more.
Okay, so now let's think about this as an educational piece for people listening. Right? There's people listening that are doing your numbers. There's people listening that just got into the business, don't know what to do. And most everybody is somewhere in between.
Sure.
And a lot of times what's missing from these kind of shows and stuff is actual, what do I do? Tell me exactly what to do. Now, how did you grow your business?
Okay, so obviously this is a 15-year question, but I'm going to try to summarize it as much as I can. The number one thing I did that helped me a lot is to find out what products are available for every single client. Now, product knowledge, I stress this every time I have a chance to speak or even with my loan officers, is extremely important because if you're able to solve the problems on the spot, if you're able to understand why this loan goes to this bank, why not to that bank, what his credit score does, what if the income does, what if the bank statements, what is the expense ratios, things like that, have a full understanding of a file, then you fully equip yourself to go out there with confidence, I'm your best guy for the job. Mm-hmm. Now, I can talk about being the best guy on the job. I can be a great marketer, but if my backhand is not secured to the fullest, I can sing and dance loans all day long, but if I can close them, guess what? I will lose one relationship, then the relationship is going to talk to the other relationship, and it's so easy in our business to ruin our reputation. On the contrary, if I know what goes, what doesn't, if I promise one thing days on the transaction, it's like an architect designing a house. When I get a file right now, or even years ago, I will tell you exactly the steps that need to be taken on a transaction in order to close it. Dates, we might have a day or two delay, but I would know exactly what it takes to close a loan. And this is what I transmitted to my real estate partners, to my financial partners, CPAs, that I'm the best guy for the job. Not just by saying it, but actually believing what you're offering to your referral partners. Now that confidence, some people might call it arrogance, which there is a fine line on those two.
Sure.
However, though, by having that kind of confidence, it will attract a lot of top agents and top referral partners. If you want to become busy and close loans, you got to be on top of your game. That's how you attract the best. Now, if you want to work with an agent that always gives you a headache, once and dudes is 2 deals a year, and always the same, when are we closing because they want to get paid, guess what? That's not my favorite client.
Yeah.
My favorite client is like, leave me alone, I'll leave you alone, I'll update you twice a week, in 2 weeks, 16, 17 days, you'll get paid, everybody happy.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure the client's going to come back and say, thank you for referring me to Tano and his team. If I didn't do that, we didn't have a successful transaction. I can get paid, but again, I want to make sure the clients will leave positive reviews, the agents will feel good who we're referring the business to. So it's a chain of events.
So I'm gonna just talk about that for a minute because I agree with you. You used the phrase product knowledge, and it's interesting because we have our broker world, right, where we have several different banks we deal with and several different products, and then there's this big like IMB space where the big correspondents are, and a lot of loan officers there aren't as familiar with all of the products that are actually available to them. They don't even know that some of this stuff exists. And even if they do, they're somehow intimidated by it just because it's not what the company promotes or does. But in our broker space that you and I live in, we have to understand and know how to work through all of these different products. And when we were having lunch, we were talking about this, the product knowledge. If you don't have that, if you don't take a moment to actually learn about how these loans work, the pros and the cons, right? The ins and the outs, correct, then how can you be a professional at what you do?
Absolutely.
And you made the comment, which I found really interesting, is all today's loan officers, all they want to do is be marketers, right? And I will say, hey man, if your phone doesn't ring, doesn't matter how good you are. So you got to be a good marketer, right? We got to wear a lot of hats. But at the end of the day, I think you need to be a good loan officer. So you could be a better mortgage advisor, correct, right? So that you could be the best at your trade.
Absolutely.
And I think if I could get anything out to you guys is know your products, understand how they work, and be a true mortgage advisor. The whole term loan officer, I don't even understand. It's like a bullshit comment, right? It's a loan officer. If you can't be an advisor to your client, you're worthless. Anybody can close a loan, but are you doing the best you can possibly do for your client? Have product knowledge and be good at what you do.
Absolutely. And also, I want to add a little bit more to that. You mentioned that there is probably, 96 banks, let's say, in my pricing engine, right? Doesn't mean that I'm going to do business with all 96 of them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to understand, first of all, what does the market need today?
Yeah.
Because each market has its own niche.
And your market.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. Even as a company, because we look at the areas, we have different locations throughout Southern California. We have few places, loan officers out of state as well. But it's one of those things where if I'm looking at the market's needs right now, we pulled out, let's say we were about 35% non-QM on last month funding volume. You ask a loan officer what a non-QM is. A lot of them don't know it. Just because you don't know it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right? As a loan officer, you have to market based on the trends that you see now. You cannot put a down payment assistance from 5-6 years ago program, or this came from a city, and while the first-time home buyers make less than 5% on the DPA loans, while you have a 40% market share right now on non-QM happening day in, day out. Now, if there is a need for non-QM products, then I'm not going to send everybody that does non-QM loan here and there. I'm going to create relationships. This business day, it's all about relationships. I'm going to choose top 5 who is best for bank statements, who is best for DSCR, who is best from profit and loss, who is best for whatever, foreign national, or there's so many of them, right?
Yeah.
And you start building those relationships, even as a new LO, by sending loans in, so they're familiar with you. Once you understand the file flow, how these investors work, then you send the loans to them. You do not price a loan because somebody gave you a quarter better in pricing, and you switch it and you just burn the relationship because they're running hot right now next month, and you have no idea how the operations works. Dealing with professionals day in, day out with referring partners like real estate agents or even top agents or anybody for that matter, people are used to a certain way of doing business. Once you start chasing the next shiny object, you're making a mistake.
Yeah.
Stick to the people that know how to close and you know their systems if you're working the wholesale side. And that is going to create a consistency on your business model that no matter what, in 21 days, you will close. And that's how you get more referrals. I would rather lose $3-4 per loan and close it to a certain place because I know in 21 days or less, these guys will make me look like a rock star.
I had a call this morning with out-of-state business owner, broker, brand new, somewhat, new in the business, right? And she came from the banking world, opened up her own mortgage broker shop, and she was struggling with a few things. And so we spoke. And it was really interesting, because the advice I gave her really just kind of correlates to what you just said. And it was very simple. It was, I don't choose which bank I'm going to send loans to by price. I choose by speed and predictability, because I don't want to have to go make a phone call every single time so I can get an answer, so I can go call somebody back and say, this is what I can do. Because I choose the same banks, I understand their file flow, I understand their needs in order to be able to fund a loan and how they do it, and then I work around those. And because I send enough business into those, the predictability happens, and now I can go and put my name on the line because I know what to expect.
Absolutely.
Right? That's the most important thing. So for newer loan officers, even older ones, listen, if it's a drastic price difference, like drastic, okay, maybe you got to go try, or maybe that's the new bank you got to go learn, right? If that's the case. But speed and predictability are the two things that will actually grow your business because of good reputation.
Absolutely.
If you don't have a good reputation, you said it earlier, one person tells the other referral partner, the other referral partner tells the other one, and next thing you know, you're out of business.
Absolutely.
Right? So, okay, let's go back to your journey now. You're in your first year. You're knocking it out of the park. You became the top producing loan officer. Not normal, but obviously you got something special that a lot of people don't. I think it's probably a little bit of stubbornness and maybe a little bit of arrogance, like I'm going to be the best, but in a good way. And like you said, product knowledge, right? So let's give specific examples now of how did you create relationships? So a lot of people are just like, okay, that's great. Like I'm really good at it. I know my products, but I can't get anybody to trust me. Why is that?
Great. So when I first started, I was actually for the first 2-3 months, I was just calling, no direction, just anybody that had basically a real estate license, or even I started calling title leads for that matter, right? Then something occurred to me. I said, nobody knows Tano, nobody knows my company. How do I get access to a lot of leads without having the name or the brand? Then I thought of something. Where do people go and get their loans? They go in the bank. I pulled out about 4 or 5 branches from Bank of America back then. I asked them, first of all, what the guidelines are. I studied them. I acted like a consumer. What do you do in this case? What do you do in that case? I didn't even call as a loan officer, right? I understood that Bank of America was extremely, extremely conservative. We're talking about 2004. They were so conservative that they could not give a loan if you had $1 minus on a month. They would kill loans left and right. However, though, it was the only bank that had the most foot traffic coming into the branches. I start calling loan officers every single day. Give me a shot. Give me a try. Give me a try. And some of those actually are even good friends. They even work with me today on. And I've done all the personal deals and all those things, right? After 20 plus years, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm very blessed by those relations, by the way. We're still talking. We're still, many people from Bank of America, some of them moved to different things and some of them opened their own stuff, and we're still friends till today. But I was basically on the West region. I was the number 1 referral source within 6 months.
Nice.
I was probably getting application turndowns from anywhere from 7 to 15 million a month. And guess what? They all came full app, full everything.
Yeah.
I just created my own niche, which back then I'm sure many of you know.
Yeah.
Subprime.
Yeah.
Which is non-QM today.
Non-QM.
That's why it's, even though without my knowledge, without my stuff, nobody taught me how to do it. It's just one of those things where, what can I do different than anybody else?
Yeah.
Now, when you close a loan for them, guess what? They have an agent, because it's also purchase. It was not all of them were refis. Now the agents are happy. Buyers agents, now listing agents.
Snowball effect.
So now the snowball effect turns on and you start getting more market share.
Yeah.
And that's what helped me jumpstart my career. by doing strictly bank turndowns.
That's awesome. So I got to say, when we were at lunch, I have a real problem talking when there's food in front of me. So you were doing all the talking, so I didn't get a chance to tell you this, but I actually grew a, not big as you, but a significant part of my business from Bank of America back in the day. And I went about it a little bit different. And I believe in the theory of reciprocity. I do something good for somebody and it comes back.
Correct.
So what I did is I went and figured, I talked to the branch manager in Newport Beach at the time, and we kind of said, hey, how can we help each other? Well, they do have turndowns, as you said, that they know they can't do. So they might as well give them to somebody, not just that they like, but somebody that's actually giving them business back and making them look good. So what I did is I always made sure everybody I was talking to, if they had an auto loan, I would try and get them to refinance it.
Great.
Right, and save them some money. It also helps me because if they refinance it and lower the monthly payment, my debt ratio gets better, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, my niche was I found an opportunity to get business from them by giving them business. So, guys, there's a million different ways to create a relationship. One is you can just be a likable guy and you guys really connect. I got to warn you, if you're going to do it that route, you better go find people that are just like you because you'll have a much better chance getting along, right? But if not, and you want to expand beyond that, well, you better figure out how to make them money. And I got to say, the theory of reciprocity, that's how it works. Your insurance guy has the ability to get you business. Get him business. Your financial planner, hey, that loan application, you can tell, do they have a financial planner? Do they not? Should they? Refer them to a financial planner, right? You're getting married. You got a kid. Do you need a trust? You should have a trust.
Absolutely.
You should have life insurance. You both had to qualify for the loan. What if something happens to one of you? Can you afford the payment? You got to have life insurance, right? You have the ability to make a lot of people a lot of money. And if you do that, guess what, man? They're gonna feel like they owe you. They're going to want to get you as much business as they can, as fast as they can, just so they don't lose their referral source.
Absolutely. And adding a little bit to the banking business, what's important in the banking business is that we all know on jumbo, nobody can compete with them.
Yeah.
No lender will compete on a depository bank directly because why? They will have the funds from their clients. They will sell 10, 15%. They will carry the rest, 80, 90% of their paper. We cannot compete with them. Sure. Now, when you get a client, $2-3 million comes in, and you know it's a clean file, you know you cannot beat it, you call Mr. John Smith from Bank of America and you tell him, Mr. Smith, guess what? I saw your numbers and I know you're one of the top guys. I would like to create a relationship with you. I have a jumbo loan for you ready to go. In turn, I would like you to give me a shot on the loans you cannot do. And that's how you can start the conversation. Yep. Right?
Let me add to that just because I'm going to validate what you just said. Back when the rates were under 3%, we couldn't compete on the jumbo. I would just give them to a guy I knew at Union Bank at the time. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. He became a pretty good referral source for me on loans that he could do. They were just too small for him because he was used to dealing with multi-million-dollar loans. Mm-hmm. And he goes, Dino, we're like 2.5, 3 months to close a loan. I've had these clients for 20 years. I just can't put him through that for a $400,000 or $500,000 loan. Can you do this for me? I don't want anything. I just want you to do a good job for them. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's how easy it is.
Absolutely. And then you can go back to the CPAs. When I talk to my clients, I see that they're like high net worth individuals, and I will ask him, who is your CPA? He said, here's the ABC's, tax consultants. Okay, very good. How good are they? Are they fast on sending things in? Yes. Now, the reason why I ask, because a lot of my clients in the CPA have problems with the CPA. Oh, he's always out of town. I got to reach him. And it's one of those things where there is this comfort going on between the CPA that people don't change too much.
Yeah.
However, if it's a really good one, they might do the difference. So what I do, I will call the CPA and I would say, listen, I got referred from a mutual client of ours. They just closed their loan. But they did tell me they're very happy with you. And thank you for providing us the P&Ls or whatever, year to date, or the letter confirming something, whatever the case might be, or balance sheet, depending on the jumbo or non-jumbo, whatever the guidelines are. I said, thank you very much. We closed the loan. But are you open to more business? Absolutely. Can I get your cell phone? Can I get your email address and everything? Absolutely. So we have clients that are similar category, but they need somebody good like you and the way you handle it. In turn, I know how big is your book? Well, we have about 10,000 clients. So I mean, they say, oh my God, how did you grow and all that? Feed the ego a little bit. We got it. Oh, we have great. I said, do you have a strong loan officer that you can refer over? Because I do specialize in self-employed without income tax. As a matter of fact, I don't. I usually have this guy at the bank. I said, please keep them, that whatever you feel it fits. However, though, I do specialize in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, Tano, I'm glad you told me. I do have. And so you start keeping them. Maybe do a lunch. You send them a client.
Yeah.
And that's how you start creating, relationships more and more with CPAs as well. I think it's very important.
Yeah, agreed. All right, dude. So you hit it pretty early on. And I can see why. I mean, I know you're aggressive. It's in you. And even after all these years, this is what I love about you. Even after all of these years, you're still aggressive. You still have so much testosterone in you. You're not going to let anybody else in the company beat you.
I don't compete with my people.
I know, but I saw the numbers. You still kick all their butts.
Yeah, but I never post my. I don't post my fundings with them.
All right, so let's move past this early years now, right? Like now you're a little bit further down. How many years after you actually got your license did it take for you to open your own company?
So I did work for about 9 years with the second brokerage when I started.
Okay.
And then I opened Easy Fundings in 2000, and we got the license and everything in 11. It took me a couple of 2-3 months to get set up. So January 2012, we actually opened Easy Fundings.
Nice. I mean, I got to tell you, the name's about as easy as it gets. So now you have a new challenge, right? Because you're not just a loan officer trying to get loans. Now you're in charge of other people.
Great point. Now, when I started with one assistant and one processor, the company.
Okay.
Right? And there was another LO as well, very small team. And as I got busier, then I added a second LOA, then I added a second processor. And then I added a third, fourth, even fifth LOA, and then I added database management person, all the marketing and stuff.
And you're the only loan officer at this point?
Well, we would see 3-4 people joining, but I wasn't focused a lot into hiring people.
Yeah.
But what happens in any market, in any place, doesn't matter where your office is or what state you are in, you will make the noise.
Yeah.
When you make the noise, now you attract people. Hey, man, what you doing over there? I want to have those numbers. I want to see those numbers. I guess everybody look at everybody's numbers. So, and people start coming, teams and stuff. So now I had to expand, hire more for them. But the benefit that I did, it's because you will see many companies saying that, oh, it's built by originators. Yes. But this specific example, I can truly say that it was done by a true loan originator.
Yeah.
By default, we grew up to more LOs and more operations and all that. Obviously, you cannot say people no. We had a conversation earlier about that. Sometimes you want to help people, and I truly believe that I could make a difference for them because I made a difference for me. Now there's so much we can do on our end. I can get you pricing, systems, CRMs, everything. I mean, if you're not going to make calls, if you're not going to do what you need to. I mean, as I mentioned, if you want to go to the gym at 11 o'clock in the morning and pick up kids at 2 and never show up to work, I cannot change that.
Right.
However, though, I can try to facilitate as much as possible. And everything happened by default because everything there is on needs. Not that I cover everything. I'm not saying that, oh, my God, we have the best systems out there. I do believe hybrid is definitely one of the best systems out there, today's market for sure, platforms. But in the same token, it's one of those things where things grew gradually without having a 5-6 day turnaround times, without having somebody for drawing docs we're missing or whatever the case may be. So we were able to keep turn times, everything in place in any market. It happened basically natural growth. So,
yeah, that's awesome. And earlier you were saying something. I actually thought about it. I just didn't say it, but I'll go ahead and say it now. You went out of your way to go find out what B of A's guidelines were and how it all works. And then you had to make really the most important part of all of this work. You had to go put yourself out there and go talk to somebody. And you had to figure out how they would even take your call and how you were going to get them to trust you. And the reality is, this is the point I want to get across to everybody, is if you don't put yourself out there, if you're not willing to make some of these tough calls, then you'll never succeed. Maybe it's just not the right business for you. And that's okay. Maybe you could be an internal guy that doesn't have to go out and do the work or get the work, right? They can just do the work. There's a place for everybody.
Absolutely.
But to really be a successful generator, right, you have to put yourself out there. I remember, I don't do it as much anymore, but I remember my wife one time, she was like, why do you always want to go to the parties? Like, why do you always want to go to the parties? I'm like, because every time I go, I'm going to make $10,000. I'm not going to have fun. I'm going to make $10,000. Like, my mindset was, wherever I go, I'm going to meet somebody and I'm going to make $10,000. Now, maybe that's not going to happen within the first 30 days, but I will meet somebody and I will create a relationship and I will make $10,000.
Absolutely.
I remember we went to Cabo one year and there was an older couple that was there on vacation. We ended up befriending them and we had a good old time, right? And when they left, they said, hey, we still got a bunch of booze in the room. You guys want to come and get it and you can enjoy it for the rest of your trip. And you know, that was it. Of course, we exchanged information because they had a son that was moving to Mission Viejo, which is where my company's at, right? And just thought, hey, let's connect the two of you. Well, lo and behold, guess who ends up doing his loan less than 6 months after the Cabo trip, right? So everything I do, and this is where you and I are so alike, like we don't stop, right? Like everything we do is about how we're going to not just get the deal. That's the difference, I think, is how we're going to make a relationship work because it'll bring deals. But it's about creating relationships.
Absolutely. So we have to be intentional.
Intentional, it's a great word.
Because what happened is that a lot of, there is an event here, there is an event there. First question that I ask, who is the audience? Number one.
Mm-hmm.
The audience is retired this, retired there. Okay, I don't specialize in reverse mortgage.
Yeah.
Probably I'll let one of my LOs handle that. Who is the audience? There is top agents, they're doing awards. Now you got my attention.
Yeah.
Who are the top guys? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what do I do before I reach him? I have somebody who does a little bit of research online. Dino likes soccer. One thing in common. Dino likes wakeboarding. Another thing, well, it's not my common thing, but I know what you like.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, Dino also, I check the numbers, MMI, there's many, Dino is working with
such and such
ABC
people.
Mortgage, which I know that ABC Mortgage, guess what? I know I can smoke him on products, pricing, whatever the case might be. So I create a profile around them.
Mm-hmm.
No different than you trying to agree loan up. You just go, hey, I'm Dino, I'm going to come work with me. Or come, Tano at Easy Funding, come work with me. Who are you? You got to build a little background and see who our audience is, right?
Yeah.
Now that I know, I say, I appreciate the relationship that you have. However, though, we specialize also in 1, 2, 3, 4, whoever you're working with, which I know exactly who he's working with, don't change.
Yeah.
Just have me as a backup in case it doesn't work out. I don't want my agents to be replaced by another loan officer. I don't want to lose my relationship. So I'm not here to replace what you have. I'm here to add to what you have. More closings, probably cheaper. I don't say that. You can never say I'm cheaper than the other person. You can never say I'm better than the other person. You can say that we have so much more than the other person. You will never cannot badmouth anybody in our business, regardless of how true it is.
Yeah.
But you can say the way we do our stuff, I know that I can help you on grow this sector of the clients that you haven't touched before, or whatever the case might be. You tried it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Man, I got to give this guy a try. Sure enough, they think that 7.25 is too high. Oh, yeah, sure. Let's go 6.875. I can do it. No problem. And guess what? Even there is no profit. It's okay.
Yeah.
So first deal, it's always the,
Yep.
right?
Yep. So I'm going to have a little fun here. Have you ever had something really embarrassing happen?
Embarrassing in what way? Like,
Something in the loan business where you either told somebody you can do something you couldn't, or you said something that was totally wrong because you were just bullshitting. Anything.
I mean, when I first started, I'm not going to say that I was the walking encyclopedia,
Yeah.
When you first started, of course, there is a lot of stuff. However, though, I mean, I wouldn't call it embarrassing because being a salesperson, we get more into people's head a little different. It hits different. So making mistakes, it's okay.
Yeah.
As long as you can fix it.
Yep.
Now, promising one thing and doing complete opposite, now we have to do with ethics, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard to say the embarrassing moment. Yes, I mean, we had escrow not closed in the past. Sometimes the lender would have been, maybe the product change or whatever the case might be, but I can count them with one hand in 20 plus years, right?
Yeah.
So embarrassing, it's hard for, I don't have a specific example,
Yeah,
no.
I gotcha. I bring that up for a couple reasons. One, I always love hearing the answer if anything happens. But two, I don't know anybody who's successful at this industry that hasn't had something embarrassing happen. And where I'm going with that is if you don't put yourself out there sometimes, you're not doing it right.
That's right.
Right? All right, let's move on. Favorite book. What's your favorite book?
Think and Grow Rich.
Napoleon Hill.
Absolutely.
I got to tell you a little story about that one. I read that to my kids. At the time, I think they were like, I don't know, probably 7, 8 years old. And I told them that if they gave me money, whatever they gave me, I would double it. I would put in that much more, and then we'd put it into an investment account, right? Not a regular bank, not in the jar, the piggy bank, into an investment account. So I said, you're doubling your money, but here's the thing: you can't take it out, not until after you're older, at least 18, and still with a little permission, right? Like you're going to have to tell me why you want it and pitch me on the idea of why. And I promise you, if you guys do this, you guys will be really happy with me later. But you can't say you want this game or you want this whatever, right? So in the middle of the book, this was at night, they're in bed, right? In the middle of the book, my oldest son, who at the time was 7, he gets out of bed. And I'm like, dude, get back in bed. And he's like, hold on. And he like goes into the closet and he's like trying to like cover himself so nobody can see what he's doing. I'm like, what are you doing? And he turns around and he's got $160 in cash on him that he was hiding. He goes, so if I give you this money, you're going to give me $160?
That's funny.
And I said, yeah, that's it. You got it. But we're going to put it into an investment account. So anyways, I love that story because, that's a great book. And the fact of the matter is you got to have the right mindset.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you're getting nowhere.
It's all about the mindset.
Yeah.
This is a difference between an average professional versus a top professional.
Yeah.
It's all about the mindset. A lot of times, you might be smarter. An average person might be smarter than a smart one. But the smart one without the right mindset, it will have below average results.
Yeah.
So it's not just knowing, but it's also having that mindset. Am I doing the best I can in today's market?
Yeah.
Any job that pays us 8 hours, 9, 10 hours, an hour lunch, whatever, 7, 8 hours a day, I can probably say I'm so happy and blessed to even start this business to begin with.
Yeah.
But there is absolutely no industry in today's market unless you go to crypto, you hit times 1,000 or whatever. But I'm talking about the same, in financials, and there's nothing like our business.
That's right.
But the difference is on the mindset. Am I putting my 8 hours away? Why am I leaving my family for 2 hours on a Friday or on a Thursday or whatever there is an event? It's because of my mindset. If I'm sacrificing my day in and day out doing things that I need to do, it's because of the mindset, plans, goals, all these things. But unfortunately, a lot of professionals in our business, they don't have that.
Yeah.
They don't treat it as a real business. They don't pay attention. They don't. It's I got a deal. I got LOs. Oh yeah, you know what? I got paid. Peace out. 2 months gone and God knows where, and the money runs out and come back again. I mean, come on, So it's one of those things where the mindset will make a difference.
Years ago, I remember there's a few different times. One loan officer, they got pregnant. He was newly married. All right, go take some time, enjoy yourself and all that, right? And then, I don't know, a year later, they got pregnant. And I remember everybody being so happy. And I was I didn't let on to believe for anybody else to see other than the person that knew me, right? And he's like, why aren't you happy for him? I'm like, are you kidding me? This means he's not going to work for like almost a year. I go, after that, he might have his back up against the wall a little bit if he's a real man, and he's going to start working even harder. But it's unbelievable how certain people just take time off. You said, closes a big deal, gets some money, and it's peace out. And it's true. People have a good deal, peace out. They're going to take some time until they get desperate again, and then they start working. And it's mind-boggling to me how that happens to people. When I close a big deal, I get more energized.
Absolutely.
Right? I'm invigorated. I want to go harder. I love
Absolutely.
the feeling of that.
Closing deals, what I've seen, I was counting my money at my early career. I'm not going to lie. I'm making this much here, this much there. But after a few years, I looked at units.
Mm-hmm.
After a few years, okay, I'm closing 10, 12 right now. Not enough. How do I go to 20? Or I'm closing 5, 6 in a very bad market. And what am I doing? Yeah. At least I got to cover 10 or whatever the case might be. Yeah. 20. So paying attention on the dollar amount, this is what pollutes our judgments. Our clouds us completely, because now you're talking about financial. So, I'm paying off my car, my mortgage is this, my mortgage is that. You start making the wrong math.
Mm-hmm.
But units, it's different. And there is a quote with that, which is my favorite quote, by the way, and it comes for, I read and studied Jim Rohn for a very long time.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think for me it was the best of all of them combined. You are only worth what you put in the marketplace.
It's great.
Meaning, if you're doing 1 or 2 transactions here and there, you're like a little dot on the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're doing volume, you're changing so many lives.
Yeah.
The economy start moving. The 30-year notes start selling. You are actually helping move the economy.
Yeah.
And this is why you get paid the big bucks.
Yeah. I love that. It's great quote. I want to go back to mindset for a second because I'm curious. Doing the kind of volume you do takes some bandwidth. Now, you can't possibly be doing all of that by yourself. What does your team structure look like?
Okay, great question. So it took me a few years to understand that leveraging, it's a big impact on my business, had a big impact on my business. No question about that. I do have one personal LOA now, right? Mm-hmm. Basically, all my commands go through her. We have about 2 to 3 LOAs that will continue certain things into the business, right? I do have my marketing campaign set up. My personally also does TC work updates, which is a big important for me, right? Now, every phone call, I still make till today on every single lead. So this is all personal production. So I have basically 3 to 4 people watching over my file at any given time. Mm-hmm. Not to mention the processor. Processor, I can send sometimes one. I never have the same processor. It's always, we have about 10 processors in the company, so we basically round robin in a way.
Yeah.
Correct. So, but there is no like, send it here because I know that she will do a better job or he will do a better job. Absolutely not. It doesn't matter who takes the loan. It's all about packaging it right. We spend the time mostly on upfront, not throwing things into the wall and hoping it's going to get stick. If it doesn't make sense to you, it's not going to make sense to the underwriter.
Yeah.
And this is why my closings are extremely quick. And this is why you will never, unless the client takes the money out and deposits 100,000, does the opposite I told him,
sure,
you will see these things. So it happen 1 every 15, 20 clients. But if all things are equal as is discussed and on a main when we did our consultation, it's all about file flow of how well you put it together. Gift funds, how many months we need. Or, reserves, how many months we need. Why we have a deposit. I see 2 months deposit withdrawn here. So I'll give you another example. Why I see a car payment coming up $1,000. Oh, I helped my mom. Oh, guess what? Are you going to do it next month? No, but it's an option. If the underwriter sees 2 months straight taking $1,000, guess what? That's a debt in your income. So what I did, let's go LP 1 month with a letter explanation to the underwriter. I helped my mom this month, but I normally don't. So now you're creating only one time versus suicide. From DU, go to LP. Things like that. So when underwriter gets it, oh, you know what? Makes sense.
Yeah.
Product
knowledge.
Product knowledge. But again, it's putting it also on paperwork, processor cert, submission, specific notes. This is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. So now allows me, instead of closing 4 or 5 loans a month, from 4 or 5 loans a month, I can go 20, 30 loans a month. Why? Because it's all done up front. But the problem with today's originators, they like shortcuts. So the loan originators today, they will be like, you know what? Oh, no, just send it. I know what I'm doing. Don't worry, we'll get it later. But what you're doing, you're blocking the system. You're slowing down your assistants. You're slowing down your processor. You're slowing down the underwriters.
Yeah.
And you're creating a reputation for yourself for always taking too long.
Yeah.
For an extra 5, possibly 30 minutes of extra work.
Yeah.
And I think knowing is one thing, but putting into place, the reason why we have such a streamlined process, it's because files make sense. If it doesn't make sense, I'm not going to say, oh, send, I need appraisal, I need approval. I don't let anybody dictate how I do my things.
Yeah.
I had a listing agent call me the other day. We had a 15-day appraisal contingency. Day 1, she calls me. She says, where is my appraisal order? I'm like, I'm sorry, what'd you say? I said, I need my appraisal order. I said, okay. Day 2, call again. Day 3, I had to say, I'm sorry. I said, but let me ask you a question. I'm not ready for final submission. I'm not ready to disclose the loan. First, we need the fee. Second, I'm waiting from the borrower to send what I need. So I have a full file. Third, I said, when is your appraisal contingency date? Oh, it's in 15 days. So why are you calling me day 3? You call me day 12, 13 if nobody has called you.
Yeah.
Until then, I said, let me do my work.
Yeah.
And it's going to be done 3 days after. Don't worry. It's 18 days. The loan got closed. You really close it. But you did put me in my place. You said, absolutely. And I will do that all over again. Because we have to do our job as we cannot be, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. We're not order takers. We're professionals. To be a professional, I have my own way of doing things.
Yeah.
You want the winning way? I'll get you to the finish line. But it has to be our way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And you're not going to make any friends just because you keep saying yes.
Correct. You might make 1 or 2, or you might sound a little harsh time to time. But in the end of the day, the result is that everybody wins. Agents get paid fast.
You'll get the respect when
That's
you
right.
do it the other way.
That's right.
If I had to pick you up right now, take you away from your family just for a year, right? And you couldn't see them again unless you closed a shit ton of loans in 1 year. You have all the knowledge you have. You have some money, but not a lot, just enough to kind of pay the bills. And you don't know anybody in the middle of, let's say, Indiana, right? I just drop you off. What are you going to do to close 100 loans in the next year?
Which is like basically 8 loans a month in a way, right?
Yeah. And you don't know anybody, right? But you have all the knowledge that you have right now. How do you start fresh, brand new?
If I close 100 loans sooner than that, can I see my family sooner?
Absolutely.
I will get it done in 3 months.
Tell me.
3 months. Okay. So first of all, what I would do, I mean, obviously, you said I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
What I would do, I would definitely get a location right in the middle of everywhere. First one. With all the money that I had, I would open one office right in the middle there. So they see the name. They see the name. They see the name. And I would do a big grand opening.
Okay.
Okay. I would do a huge grand opening, actually. I would spend money I don't have. I would borrow the money. Right?
Okay.
After a grand opening, I would only invite real estate professionals. Only. And that's it. I would also do a presentation, lunch and learns, whatever I could to get into their feed, right? I would start by any turndowns that you have an issue with closing, I will be your guy. Because as you said, I have the experience.
Yeah. That's right.
I would approach builders in the area as well. Who is the builder? Big builders here. We all know the in-house lending for builders. They don't know what's 3 plus 2 put together. No disrespect to anybody, but they're very limited, right? Because they have a certain warehouse line and there's certain loans that they fund and all that, right? I would go to the builders. I would say, listen, let me show you why. What are your turndowns consist of? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. What if I were to tell you I have a bank for every single one of them? Would you give me a shot to be in your second position? Which I've done it before.
Mm-hmm.
And well, yeah, sure. So I would visit them every single day of the week.
Every single day.
Absolutely. The
Okay.
builder, I'm talking about if they have 300-400 units sitting, right?
Yeah.
So now there's difference. Now
And who?
I'm
Who
sorry.
do you visit?
I'm sorry. We're going back to your hypothetical scenario that I have few months to close these loans.
Yeah.
So I'm going balls out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now I would go to the builders, meet the sales reps. I wouldn't go empty-handed. Where I come from, where you come from,
Yeah.
I'm sure. When we go in with a nice basket or something, refreshments, whatever the case might be. It doesn't have to be something expensive.
Beware of Tano bringing gifts.
Whatever. So that being said, I would present myself there. I would say, listen, I promise you, I can add to your business. Let's keep this. Let's make as many as homeowners as we can together, and I'm your guy.
Yeah.
Give me one opportunity. Eye to eye, big handshake, and I promise that goes a long way. And you will give the opportunity 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. So now the name's starting. So every closing that I would do, I would take the agents, celebrate our closings. Do you have 3, 4, 5 top agents that you have in your area? How can I market your stuff with the agents? So I would go back to the agents. Hey, they're offering this. If they cannot do the deal, I'll be the one to back it up after. And I would connect them together, builder and real estate agents. I would put them and take them everywhere, even though I'm not the primary guy. I don't need to be the primary guy on 500 units.
Yeah.
Second, I'm happy because I know they're going to mess up 3 out of 10.
Sure.
So I'm okay with that. So do activities speed up so fast because now I have to see my family.
Yeah.
So I have 100 loans or fund 100 loans and you'll see your family. And I will do everything on the book that
Whatever it takes.
It's a muscle memory, Dino.
Yeah.
So it's not something that I'm invading. I'm so smart. I'm coming up with this. You can do that. We all know what needs to be taken. Take a business, to get business from people.
Yeah.
It's not something that I came up yesterday or I'm going to come up because I'm away from my family. Everybody, but again, your why, your mindset is what's going to determine what you're going to apply or not. I know the question has to do with when it comes down to like, hey, basically showing maybe newer loan officers how to get business.
Right.
And everybody has those. Builders is a great source of business. CPA, great source of financial advisors, absolutely great source of business. On financial advisors, when people come with 40, 50% down on a $4 million or $3 million property, why if you only qualify for 20 or 25? What if you put that 15%, and this is the pitch you do to the financial advisor, I will bring you my jumbo buyers. Instead of them putting all in a debt equity, you make the money work for them, which is another $1.5 million times 7 to 10% annually. That's $100,000+. That's a lot of money. And with that, you're double dipping. Instead of paying, you have a write-off here, and at the same time, you have income coming from there. This is a language that I have with my high net worth individuals. Would you like to have a coffee? Oh, of course not. Absolutely. So instead of cashing the whole thing, you do a certain amount, come up with different products, even if the client is paying a little bit higher. So there is so many ways that we can go on getting business. But are we ready to do that?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I had a coach a long time ago, tell me, I just kidnapped your kids and you got to come up with $1 million in order to get them back. What would you do? And it was so interesting because it literally changed my mindset. It literally put me in a headspace of take no prisoners. Who cares if somebody says no? Who cares if somebody kicks me out? Who cares? I'm not going to stop because they're going to kill my kid. I got to come up with $1 million. Like, what wouldn't you do?
Great analogy. Yeah.
And so I threw that in because, a lot of times it's like, well, I would do this, I'd do that. But the way you answered it was like, well, I'll do it in 3 months. I mean, there is no waiting, right? This is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it right now. So it's great, man. I really enjoyed talking to you today, and I really appreciate just all the candid and honesty of how you are, of who you are as a person, and giving the advice that you do. Let me ask you this: if somebody wanted to talk to you a little bit more, if somebody wanted to come work for you, if somebody wanted to just follow you on social media, how do they do that?
I have a Tano easyfundings1.com, I believe it is, because I'm not even a social media guy. So that's kind of embarrassing, to be honest.
That's all right.
But I do have my Instagram, and I'll send it to you so that way you can put it on your on the podcast.
Okay.
And I'm sorry about that, but Truly, I don't even know.
Well, the good news, there's not very many Tanos in the business.
There you go. Tano Easy Fundings.
Yeah.
Just put Tano Easy Fundings, I'll come up.
You'll come up.
I don't know if I have a one or not, to be honest, but
just Tano Easy Fundings.
Yeah, there you go.
I appreciate, man. Thank you
course.
so much for everything.
My pleasure.
Guys, we are here to empower, educate, and equip the way lending should be done. Right? There's a lot of different ways out there, and everybody's got their own style, but everybody on the show is really the best of the best. So do yourself a favor. Go in, start listening to some of the old ones. You'll connect with certain people and you'll say, hey, that's my style. That's how I want to do it, right? And start doing it. I mean, go for it. You got nothing to lose. I'll tell you, if you don't go for it, you got a lot to lose. So
Absolutely.
We love you. We're here for you. Subscribe, follow, do it all. Share it with some other loan officers that need help. Remember, sharing is everything. You'll get a lot more out of giving than you do taking. So see you next time.